Good morning, everybody. How is it going? So, I wanted to get you guys a little bit of an update for Pimp My Peon, but don't worry, this video is not gonna be an hour long, even though the video is an hour long. That's just because I wanted to get you some background footage while I do a little bit of a post commentary. I don't usually do these, but you get the idea, right? And the thing is that the game I ended up playing was like an hour long and amazing, and I thought it would be fun for a few of you to watch that. So I'll do my little update. I'll tell you what's coming up and what the plans are for the mod. And then I'll just shut up and you guys can watch the rest of the game. Or if you feel like it, you can also not do that, right? That's up to you. But anyway, so let's go ahead and get to it. First of all, as you can see right now, the loading screen is just some silly axe, and like the little pick screen is just like something thrown together with like Pimp My Peon on there. We do have a custom loading screen coming. We do have a custom thumbnail and all of that coming. I hired Jeremy for that, who is a friend of mine, who is like a professional artist and stuff like that. So yeah, it's gonna be pretty, it's gonna be nice, and I can already show you a little bit of a sketch, so this is what it's gonna be like, kind of, but of course it's just very early, right? It's just a very early sketch, and the full thing is gonna be coming soon. So that's one thing, right? Also gonna be animated. We looked into all of that. It's gonna be cool, right? Now, let's go and actually talk about the important things. First of all, we are now tracking data for Pimp My Peon. What does that mean? We know now, let me try that one again. We now know what you people are doing while playing, right? So when do you buy certain upgrades, right? When do you have how much gold? What's the gold per minute? What's the experience per minute, right? How much wood do you have at a certain point in time and all of that. Now, that may not seem that interesting, and let's be honest, it's not really, but it is essential to know these things for balance. So once we have collected enough data, we will start balancing the game mode, and there are a lot of things that require balancing. Currently, Pulverize is completely broken. Right, Pulverize is stupid. Oh, by the way, what you can see right now are the new game settings where you can select how many teams there are. It's a little awkward. It's not done yet, right? Again, it's all a work in progress. Definitely not done yet. But, you know, I just kind of wanted to show it off anyway. So this is what it's gonna be like once it actually works. But what we're playing here is a free-for-all. Even though we have two-man teams for some reason. But yeah. Anyhow. So Pulverize right now is broken. I think everybody can agree with that. I don't think anybody's going to be like, no, Pulverize is fine. It's not. Pulverize is broken. And I have a few ideas for fixing it, but I don't really want to start just randomly implementing things, right? Like I could just say, okay, you know what? How about we make it just cost twice as much? We could do that. But maybe it's still too strong at that point, or maybe it's just too expensive and it's worthless, or I don't know, right? So I want to have these statistics first, and the best way you can help me out with that is to just go play it, right? Just the more you play the game mode, the bigger our sample size is gonna be, and the more statistics we have available to work with, right? And that's just really, really nice and really important. But Pulverize will be nerfed, certainly, right? And honestly, we are probably going to have to rework most of the spells. Because while, for example, I don't think that dodge is broken, it's stupid. Because you have 55 gold for the level 1 upgrade, which gives you 20% evasion, right? And then you have, 110? I'm not sure how much it is exactly. But you have, let's say, 110 for the level 2 upgrade, which gives you 1% additional evasion. That's stupid. Like I don't know what that is about. That's idiotic. So we're gonna go ahead and change all of those things. Now, why are these numbers so weird, right? Like, for example, crit is similar, right? Like 50 gold for the level 1 upgrade, and even though it continues become like, it's not as silly as, for example, the evasion, it is still a little silly just because of the way it scales, right? The reason why all of these things are like that is because we simply, and this was something that I absolutely prioritized, and I told Noya this is how I want it, right? I wanted to have everything how it is in Warcraft 3, just for the start, right? Like, I wanted to start out with the basic Warcraft 3 version that has been balanced for a while, that has been worked on for a while, and I just wanted it to be exactly like that. And once we have that, we can start adjusting the balance, right? Because let me be honest, the version that we are now, or that we copied from Warcraft, is quite a bit different from the version that I used to play 5 years ago. Right, I think that's pretty obvious. But even this version has not been updated in 2 years. Right, so honestly, Pimp My Peon in Warcraft is an abandoned project. And I thought for the start, like, at first, we're just gonna copy everything in from Warcraft, and then we will go ahead and adjust it. Right, so that's what we are at now, right? We have this playable first version with a few little quirks that we are trying to figure out, but most of all, we are just trying to adjust everything and make it work and make it good. And yeah, so if you want to help out with the balance, if you have any ideas, oh, by the way, like, if you have any thoughts on what I'm saying here, if you have any comments on the game mode itself, feel free to leave them down below. I'm very much interested, right? Very much so. I really listen to your feedback on this. But yeah, so Pulverize especially, but overall the spells are a focus. Honestly, I think the only spell that is fine in its current state is what's it called? The Return. I think Return is fine. I think Return is solid. It's very good, but it's not broken or anything like that. So I think Return is going to stay the way it is for now, but everything else kind of needs to be brought to the balance of Return, at least in my opinion. So yeah, that's kind of that. Now, one of the big things people have been talking about are comeback mechanics. Now, comeback mechanics are a very tricky thing. They are very difficult to implement properly. If you go ahead and think back to Warcraft 3, right? Warcraft 3. I'm sorry, but if you go ahead and go back and think back to Dota 6.82, right? So 6.81 was a patch that was actually kind of similar to what Pimp My Peon is like right now, which is very snowball heavy, right? Like, once you're ahead, it's very easy to stay ahead. Right? Once you're winning, you can usually just continue winning. Once you're losing, it's very difficult to somehow make that comeback happen. That was 6.81 of Dota, right? That was how Newbie won the International 4. Now, 6.81, because of that, saw a huge change with the implementation of 6.82, because 6.82 brought us the comeback mechanic. Right, 6.82 brought us the whole rubber band effect, right? So if somebody was ahead and you kill them, you get a lot more gold for that kill. Now, if you go ahead and think about what happened back then, that patch was awful. That patch was complete trash. 6.82 was one of the shortest patches in a long time. And why was it that? Because it was terrible. Because it was just really bad. Simply said, the way the comeback mechanic worked, the way the rubber band worked, was far too strong. So IceFrog adjusted it in like 3 days. Right? It took him like 3 days to say, fuck this one up, let's fix it. Right? But it was still broken. So immediately patched again. Was still broken. Immediately patched again. And it kept going for like that, for like 5 patches. Right? Then eventually 6.84 hit. No, 6.83 hit. 6.83, it was nerfed even further, right? But overall, like, the balance of the game shifted and a lot of heroes were made much more powerful, and the rubber band ended up being less of a problem than specific heroes ended up being. So it was kind of, you know, not that big of a deal anymore. And then 6.84 hit, and with 6.84, the rubber band was changed to mostly affect heroes that are behind, so supports. Right, so currently, in the current state of Dota, the rubber band mechanic, while still in the game, it's actually not as much of a big deal anymore because it doesn't affect everybody on your team the same amount. It mostly just affects the supports, right? So if a support kills an enemy carry, they're gonna get a lot more money from that than, for example, or like if they are in the area, right? Like, doesn't even need to be the kill, but the bonus gold distributed amongst all heroes in the area for the kill is increased for supports as opposed to core heroes, right? So that's one thing to keep in mind. That is very important. That yes, while a rubber band mechanic can be decent, we tried it in Dota and it just didn't work. Now, let me be honest with you. I don't think that Pimp My Peon currently requires a rubber band mechanic. I don't think that's what we're looking for. Instead, what we need are additional objectives, right? So in Dota, think about additional objectives, right? What is there that I can do other than just killing enemy heroes? I can farm. I can kill creeps. That's a thing, right? I can kill Roshan. I can push towers. These are all options that are not as simple as just killing the enemy heroes over and over again. Now, Pimp My Peon currently has only that option, right? My only plan, my only strategy is to kill as many enemy peons as we can. You don't have any other thing to do. And that is what I think is the problem, right? That is what I see as the issue, where we need to add additional objectives. We basically need Roshan, we basically need creeps. Now, how exactly are we going to do that? Haven't figured that out yet, right? I don't know. I gotta be honest with you, I don't know, right? But. I think that's the key. Right? It's not about figuring out how do we best, rubber band this. No. How do we make it so that there are other possibilities for the player other than just going in and hitting people? That is something that I think is more important, and that is something that I think is more along the lines of what we're looking for. So yeah, we need additional objectives instead of a rubber band mechanic, and again, this is something that is a design question. We currently have the little guy in the bottom left corner who's kind of Roshan-like, right? He is a start, I think. Now, we don't want him to be in the bottom left corner. That's stupid, right? So we need to find a different spot. Something interesting I heard is move him around the map. That might be a viable idea, right? But gonna have to figure that out, right? It's not that simple, it's not that easy, and it's a work in progress. But if you have an idea for this, please let me know, and please let me know if you agree with me on this, right? Like, do you think that maybe having additional objectives is a better way of going about it, instead of just adding in like a rubber band mechanic, which would be much easier? Let me be honest with you, right? We could just say, okay, if your enemy is ahead by this much, then his units are worth this much more gold and this much more wood. But I personally don't like that, right? I don't like punishing people for winning. I think that's a bad way of going about it. I like rewarding people for winning. I think if you're doing well, you should feel that. I think if you're doing well, you should be confident and you should be, okay, I'm doing great here. Let me go ahead and continue playing this game, right? I think you should be rewarded for winning. You shouldn't be punished. And a rubber band mechanic punishes you for winning. That's my issue with it, right? So yeah, that is one thing. Anyway, let's move on to something else. We have people have been asking for rewards for killing a base. I do agree with that. Something I thought might be cute is if we just spawn, like, give you an additional super peon for killing somebody. While that is something that is good for everybody, right? I think everybody's going to appreciate a super peon. If you are the one winning the most, right? If you're leading the game, if you're the one that's absolutely destroying everybody, then an additional super peon is not really going to do much for you, right? That's just not that big of a deal. So I feel like it would be fine in that regard, right? You could just say, okay, you know what? You kill somebody, you get an additional super peon. If then somebody rushes into your base or late game, you want to have an additional one like that. That is really, really nice, right? Now also adds a bit of a skill cap in, keeping track of how many super peons everybody has got. But yeah, like, that's an idea. I also had some quirky ideas. Like, for example, you can take somebody's base, right? So if you kill somebody, you take their base. This base is now yours, and it also spawns peons. Now, I don't think that it should just like immediately spawn twice as many peons, right? Like your original base spawns 2 and your regular base spawns 2 and your spawn rate is 2. No, but what I think would be cute is if you have you can put a point on the map, right, where your peons are going to walk to after they spawn. And I think if that point, you know, if you put that somewhere, then it applies to both bases, and the base that is the closest is going to spawn the peons. Maybe, right? Something along those lines. That might be a decent idea. Also makes it so that you are a little bit more mobile on the map. Now, something I'm worried about with that, though, is that it's like a pretty big advantage, right? And it would push the person that is ahead even further ahead, which continues the snowboarding problem we already have. Yeah. Oh, talking about super peons, the super peons in this game that I'm currently showing you, you're gonna notice that the super peon at one point gets killed, right? Somebody summons a super peon and my peons are strong enough to just kill it, which should not happen, right? And the super peons are gonna be invincible soon. I'll let Noya know about that as soon as possible, right? And there are like a lot of tiny things that we are gonna adjust, right? Like super peons also need sounds. They don't really have anything right now, right? So that's a little bit awkward. I want it to be so that it's very obvious when your hero has leveled up, which is the guy in the bottom top left corner. All right, when he levels up, I want it to be really, really obvious. So, you know, you always are aware of, okay, you know, but we can go ahead and put a skill point into something now. So these are all tiny things, right? Like these are things that are, I wouldn't say they are not a priority, but they are something that doesn't require a lot of time. And mostly it's something that we just don't, like we just have to not forget about them and then they're going to be fixed soon, right? It's not a big deal. That's going to be the case soon. So just don't worry about that. You may have noticed if you have played the game mode already, but we added in a little like just as a temporary thing that I thought would be, you know, like again, right now there's no reward for killing somebody, but I thought, you know, this is not so much like a gameplay reward, but at least it makes you feel a little bit better about it. So if you kill somebody, there's like a pop-up text on the screen, which is like player name killed player name, right? And before that, you have the little icon for which race you are. So, you know, that's something that just a tiny thing, right? But I felt like it made the game. I personally think that it makes the play experience a little bit nicer, makes it so that you actually feel a little rewarded, and I personally like it a lot. So yeah, that's one thing. But talking about races, I guess actually, since we addressed that shortly already, the new races are coming. The next one that's coming are the undeads. Now, why are the undeads next? Mostly because PEON Flax was the first one to get back to us with his voice lines. In case you don't know, all of the different races in the game are gonna be voiced by different community people, and PEON Flax is voicing the undeads. He was very fast about it. Now, I was actually very impressed by that. I didn't expect him to be the first one to like immediately respond, but I sent him his lines and it took him like half an hour and he came back to me and was like, there you go. Right, so they are actually already edited. We tried them in game. They sound fantastic. So that's all really, really nice. Right, that's all pretty fantastic. And especially the death grunts are hilarious, right? They are actually really, really funny. So the undeads are going to be next. And yeah. So one last thing that I want to talk about in terms of feedback that I've gotten from you, and then I just want to address some ideas I have for the game mode, and then that's going to be the video. But base placement. So a lot of people have talked about the base placement, and I think there's actually like a pretty big misunderstanding of what's going on there. So what I hear quite often is how the people that have the middle two bases are screwed, right? Like if you're like they are overall 12 bases and there are 10 outer ones and then 2 in the middle. And people always say that the 2 in the middle are fucked. Now, the thing is, I heavily disagree with that. I think the 2 in the middle are the best bases. And now, let me be honest with you, as I am globally recognized as the best Pimp My Peon player in the world, nah, I'm just kidding. But I tend to do pretty well, right? Like I've lost out of like the 40 games I've played, I have lost exactly 2. I've won every single other one. So I tend to do pretty well in these. And I love being in the middle. I think being in the middle is vastly superior to being in one of the outside corners, right? And the fact for that is really that simple, that currently, as I mentioned, there are no other objectives other than fighting. So that's the thing you want to do, right? You want to fight people. And if you do that, if you constantly fight people, then you're going to push ahead because you get more kills and then you have more money and more wood, and all of a sudden your peons are stronger than everybody. So if you're in the middle and you keep getting swarmed, right? Let's say you're spawned in the middle and like 4 people keep attacking you. Then with the super peons and with, just playing smartly, you should be able to defend, and then all of a sudden you're the one ahead in the game because your peons are the strongest because you're constantly fighting. If you aren't getting swarmed, then you still have 4 points that you can use to attack people at, right? Which is at least one additional point, one more attack point than everybody else, which I think again is vastly superior than to everything else. So I gotta admit, I don't understand this complaint. I think that the middle bases are actually the best ones, and we somehow need to make the corner bases stronger, because I feel like those are a little weaker. But even there, because they are the corner bases, they're a lot more protected, and you still have enough ways to break out, right? So I gotta admit, I just don't agree with that. And maybe I'm missing something, right? Like maybe I'm wrong about this, and if I am, please feel free to let me know why. But I think the middle bases are the best ones, and I am always super, super happy to spawn in the middle. So I gotta admit, I'm a little out of the loop if it comes to that complaint. I just don't agree. But anyway, so ideas. I have a few ideas for this game mode. The first one is actually a new game mode. So currently we have free for all and teams, and like 4 different teams. There's teams versions which are 2v2, 2v2, you get the idea, right? 2-player teams, 3-player teams, 4-player teams, and 6-player teams. Now, something that I think would be really fun is a Legacy War game mode. No, what would that be? It's inspired by a Warcraft 3 mod called Dwarfish Legacy War, which is something I used to play a lot with friends at LAN parties. It was never very popular, right? It's not something that's well known by any stretch. But nonetheless, I think it is more than just very fun. I always loved playing it, and a lot of my friends did too, so again, we played it a lot. But Dwarfish Legacy War was a very basic RTS, right? It didn't have a lot to it. It was just very, very basic. You had like 2 buildings, 3 units. There wasn't a ton there. But what made it interesting is that in this basic RTS, you had the option of killing somebody, and if you did, well, I guess you had the option, right? Like, you had to kill everybody else, right? But it started out as a free-for-all. And if you killed somebody, then instead of that player being out of the game, that player was now resurrected at like a kind of a weaker point, because like, first of all, you killed all of their shit, right? But secondly, also their base was a little worse, and had a little less HP, right? So it was easier to kill that person again. But then that player resurrected and was now part of your team. And I think a game mode like that would work incredibly well for Pimp My Peon. I think that would be really, really fun, right? So that's something that might be coming. Again, it's an idea I have, and I think it's a good one. I think it's something that a lot of people would really enjoy. So that, again, that Dwarvish Legacy War, or just Legacy War game mode, I think would be very enjoyable. Like, imagine you're playing against people, right? And to kill somebody, you need to kill all 4 of the outer towers, and then you have the building in the middle. Oh, by the way, one thing, I think we're gonna make the Pimpery invincible for the Legacy War game mode, because like, if you kill the Pimpery, or it should maybe just resurrect. I don't know. I think currently the Pimpery is fine that you can kill it. It actually is just like a part of the game, right? But then the player resurrects after you kill him, but without the outer towers, right? Those don't come back, so killing him again is a pretty like simple task, and then you take control over him, and then whichever team in the end has the most, teammates, I guess, wins. I think that's a fun idea, right? So that's a cool thing. Another idea I had was I want there to be more different playstyles, right? So currently, really, like the only playstyle is you build your peons to be strong. I don't know how else to say it, right? Like you build your peons in such a way that the goal is to deal the most damage and hit things the hardest. Now, I want there to be different strategies, though. So, especially with the new races coming, Axe, right, like the peons, the orcs, they do have a cleave, right? They have an 8% cleave, as you might be able to tell. And that 8% cleave is their race ability, and each different race have a different race ability. Now, I am currently thinking about removing the poison upgrade and replacing it with a race ability upgrade. So you could increase the cleave, you could increase the lifesteal of the undead. The skeletons have a chance to resurrect on death, right? So if you kill a skeleton, he comes back all of a sudden. And I think that would lend itself really, really well to allowing for different playstyles. So instead of having just a straight up, you know, hey, we're gonna hit things mode or strategy, you could maybe build an army of peons that's all about resurrecting, right? So you build peons that are like really, really high on HP and have the return upgrade maybe, right? And then you upgrade the resurrection upgrade all the way and have a high chance of them coming back. And as they come back, you turn like you just use the HP and the return to get as much damage in on the enemies as possible. I don't know, something along those lines, right? But that's just something I wish was the case for the game mode. But yeah, I guess that's about it. Anything else that I like want to talk about right now? I'm not really. I'm not really. No. Again, there are like a lot of things going on in the background. What could I really? No, I don't think there is really anything that. Oh right, the peons don't grow as large anymore. Like they still grow pretty big, right? But we made it so that it's a logarithmic scale, which means that they're gonna start out like growing more, and then as you continue upgrading, they grow a little less with each continuous health upgrade. Which means that in the end, like at the beginning, you can still see a difference, right? But it's not as big of a deal. So in the end, it's not as clustered as it was before. But anyway, I think I'm done here. Please, again, I'm very interested in your feedback. Please let me know. If you feel like watching the rest of the game, feel free to do that. Right, again, it's probably the best match of Pimp My Peon I've played to date. And I thought it was really interesting, especially the ending. If you're not going to watch anything else, just watch the ending. I think it's kind of cute. But yeah. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and see you tomorrow.
soldier of fortune. Rises in rank. Takes all. Strength. Gold for steel. Soldier of Fortune. Time for a reenactment!